Nocturna is one of those movies that surprises you because, on the one hand, it's a very simple story with a basic plot that sounds similar to others you may already know, Orion in the Dark most recently. But in its execution and details and artistry, it stands above lots of other kids' films, and in a way that engages adults while never alienating the younger viewers. And it's, overall just really fun to watch. It starts in an orphanage, but not one of those cliché, horrible movie orphanages. And while the kids are crowded in, they're not especially suffering. The grown-ups we meet are few and distant and somewhat businesslike. The place seemed so decent, actually. I wasn't even sure it was an orphanage at first. I had to go back and check. It is an orphanage. And here's where we meet Tim, a child with only one thing that sets him apart from his roommates. He's afraid of the dark. So much so that each night after lights out, he pushes his bed across the room toward a high window for which he's stolen the knob to its shutters, and he opens that window to let the starlight in, which makes him feel just safe enough to fall asleep. This annoys the other kids a bit, but they've put up with it so far. That is, until one day when Tim tries to kick a ball back to a group of kids and instead accidentally sends it down some stairs to the darkened basement. Too dark for Tim to retrieve it, in fact. And for that, the kids steal the knob he uses to open the window at night and taunt him as they each turn out their lights. And the dark does indeed scare Tim out of the room, right up onto the roof of the building where he takes solace under the stars, and one star in particular, Adhara, which he feels a sort of connection to. And as we'll come to discover, to stop him from being afraid, Tim's mother once told him that each person has a star, and they never need to feel lonely because all they need to do is look up and find it, because the stars will always be there. But tonight, Tim looks up and Adhara is gone. He checks his star maps, which he's drawn all over the roof in chalk, and one by one, the stars begin to go out. And for someone like Tim, this is the worst possible thing that could be happening. Before we go any further, I did want to point out the only real aspect of this film that I thought was lacking a bit, and that's that we never really get to see why Tim is particularly afraid of the dark, more so than other kids. We never know how he came to be in this orphanage, and we never see his mom or hear her come up with this advice about the stars to protect him when she's gone. We only slowly come to infer things about Tim, and while that's still poignant, these moments come sandwiched into other action scenes later on when there's no time really to reflect or feel for Tim. So I wish that after a while they'd shown a flashback or something about Tim's backstory. On the other hand, that's maybe a bit too Disney. If you've seen Nocturna, I'd love to know what you think about Tim's backstory and how it was revealed. And if you thought it was a weak spot, leave it in the comments. Okay, so Tim nearly slides off the roof and plummets to his death, but he's saved by a creature of the night, of Nocturna, as we'll come to know it. And this is the cat shepherd. You see, every child also has a cat assigned to it, and that cat is responsible for somehow lulling the child to sleep on difficult nights with its mews and its purrs. Somehow. I'm not exactly sure how that's supposed to work, actually, but the cat shepherd said it, so it's true. Tim's cat guardian is Tobermory, and is also a bit of a loner. And Tobermory gets chided by the cat shepherd for his failure of Tim, because Tim should be in bed. Tim only wants to know where his star Adhara has gone, and the cat shepherd lets slip some details about someone named Maka, who runs Nocturna, and is the only one who can really help Tim solve the mystery of the missing stars. The cat shepherd finally agrees to take Tim to Maka if he promises to then go to sleep. We're now deep into the physical plane, but more so the mental state that is Nocturna, a shadow reality laid across our own, only evident at night, of course, where the denizens are in charge of everything from bedhead to children's dreams. And it's here where Tim must seek his answers about what the stars really are and what to do when his childhood coping skills begin to unravel. And it's here I started to get echoes of another, so-called kids' film, The Wizard of Oz. The hero is on a defined journey to find a way back to their safe life, meeting a group of characters with defining characteristics like false courage.
Who were you calling a star, you little punk? Put 'em up, put 'em up!
Lack of empathy, lack of knowledge, finding in the end that they all had what they needed once they find someone to be their best selves for. And it's all capped off by a petty official with no real power or ability of his own except to help our hero find theirs. That official, Maka, sets Tim up with his quest to go and find the official star keeper, to whom all matters of the nighttime stars are delegated. And it's on this journey that Tim discovers his true power to recognize his fear and overcome it. It's his fear come to life that thrives in the night, incarnated here in Nocturna, who is feeding on the light, ready to extinguish the last of the stars and even the street lamps that Tim comes to know, unless Tim moves past his childhood fear of the dark, and on another level his grief about his mom, who gifted him this coping skill about the stars. Now that Tim's growing up, it's become more important. In the final sequence, after finding there is no star keeper, Tim returns to Maka to confront him about the wild chase he's been sent on, only to hear Maka reveal to the Nocturnians that it is Tim himself who is the reason for the spreading darkness, threatening Nocturna with destruction, and leaving Tim with no choice but to save his friends and himself by, in effect, growing up a little bit. With fear banished in the end, so is the dark, and the denizens of Nocturna are safe again to create the beauty and the weirdness of nighttime, while restoring the soft boundary between night and day. Tim's friends are, after all, just a whisper away now that he's welcome in Nocturna. It's a fun and intriguing little movie, and I think a lot of families might enjoy this movie on family movie night without much worry about age appropriateness. In the direction young or old, actually. Although I really do think I heard someone say, I've listened to it over and over, and I can't quite tell. So I'll put the timestamp for that down below. If you want to watch Nocturna, come back and tell me in the comments if you heard it too. Did he or did he not say it? This film may also help some kids beat their fear of the dark, which I don't really think a movie like Orion the Dark really did. I think that film went off and became a Charlie Kaufman movie in the end. But more so, this film has a more universal message about fear. It's not limited to darkness. Darkness is just the embodiment here of all of our fears. Fear of growing up, fear of being alone in life, fear of the future in general. Tim is an orphan, I think, because what better way to depict our fear of vulnerability and the uncertainty that the future might hold, or of letting go of the past and embracing what's still to come. An orphan or not, that's universal. This film is about learning to cope. And when old coping methods start to fail us, the biggest one is still inside yourself, the staring down of your fear, because it's only a mirror of you, of your mental state. Don't let it be. Life is already full of problems, but fear is a weight on top of them. Don't let it paralyze you and stop you from living. Getting through fear for Tim here is a key to growing up and finding a better life, being seen. So that can actually start to happen for him. So I hope I can actually get, my own child to see this film with me on our next movie night, just for that. Because, we sure didn't get anything close to that out of the plot maze that was Orion in the Dark. Okay, that's Nocturna, a beautifully inventive film and one of those rare ones that everyone might enjoy. Give or take an expletive here or there. You can pay to see it on Apple TV or watch it for free like I did on Canopy. Okay, now I want to shout out to our new members. There's 2 ways to support the channel with a rolling monthly membership. And our first member ever is Suo Fee. Welcome and thank you. I'm very, very grateful for your membership. And then over on Buy Me a Coffee, we have a rolling monthly donor, Sue Frank. I'm really humbled and excited that you would, or anyone would, choose to support this channel in that way. So thank you. If you want to become a member, there's a membership button down below. But if that's not your cup of tea, there's also my feeble attempt at a merch shelf down below now. And anyone who wants to help the channel out without an ongoing commitment while getting something cool for yourself in return, there's multiple ways to help without any commitment down below. Or don't. Just keep coming back and watching. That's thanks enough. Maybe subscribe so you'll remember. But I'll keep sharing great movies with everyone, nevertheless. Okay, that's Nocturna. Till next time, take care.